Hello everyone! Today I wanted to share with you guys a video I've been wanting to film for the longest time, and that is Graham's birth story. So this is Graham Lee Kimball. He came into this world on September 27th of 2016. He weighed 8 pounds 12 ounces. He was huge, and I think he was 21 inches long. He was born at 11:02 a.m. and my birth story did not exactly go according to plan. I had a plan, but God had a totally different plan for my birth story. On a Sunday evening, I thought that my water had broke. So on Monday, I called my doctor and I told her that I wasn't sure if my water had broken, that I kind of felt like trickling, and she told me that I should probably go into the doctor just to make sure. She told me just to go to the hospital where I was planning on having my son. I got there, they hooked me up to all of the machines and everything else, and they checked to see if my water had broken. They just did a swab test, and they said my water did not break, but they said my contractions were like up and down. They were like really off the charts, and she was like, I told her I had been dilated to a 3 for at least like 3 weeks. I was just sitting at 3 centimeters and I was so uncomfortable, and she's like, are you sure you're not feeling your contractions? Because, you know, these look like pretty strong contractions. And I was like, no, I'm not feeling them. And I really wasn't. I didn't feel any cramping or pain or anything. And so she said, well, she said, I'm gonna call your doctor. So she called my doctor, and my doctor was like, it's too bad Carly doesn't want to be induced, because if we just broke her water, she would go into labor right away. So I thought about it for a little while, and I called my husband and I asked him, I said, hey, do you want to have a baby today? If they break my water, we'll probably have Graham by tomorrow. And he was like, yeah, let's do it. And I prayed, and I just felt a huge peace about it. And so we decided that it was something that we wanted to do. So they admitted me into the hospital, and they wheeled me into the labor and delivery room. My plan, uh-oh, he's sucking my arm. Are you hungry? You want to suck on this? He's been teething. So my plan was to have an all-natural labor. I didn't want to be hooked up to any machines. I didn't want an IV or anything. So they did have to put the, I forget what they call it, the thing in my hand just in case I needed to be hooked up to an IV, which later on I did. But they did that just in case, but they actually didn't hook me up to the machine. They just put the thing in there. And they hooked me up to a portable machine, and I just walked the halls. They said, just walk until your doctor can get here to break your water. And at that point, it was like 3 o'clock. And my doctor couldn't get there till 6:30, which was fine because I wanted my husband to be there, obviously, and he didn't get off work till around 5:30. And so 6 o'clock hit. I had been walking the halls. I was really, really tired already because I had been like pacing and pacing and pacing and pacing and trying to, you know, induce the labor naturally. And it obviously didn't happen. My husband got there, my mom got there, my sister got there, and everyone else showed up, and we were like, you guys, it's a little early, you know, it'll probably be a while until I actually do go into labor, and so you guys can go home. We told my mom she could come to my house and stay the night since it was close to the hospital, and she lives all the way in Meridian. And my sister was the only one in the labor and delivery room besides my husband because she was taking pictures. My doctor came, she broke my water, I went into active labor, and it was like so painful. Like, I was not expecting that at all, you guys, because I was like laughing, and I always heard like, if you're still laughing and smiling, you're not in labor yet. And so I was doing all of my natural breathing techniques. My nurse, she was really like almost a doula, and we thought we'd have to pay a lot of money to have a doula, but we didn't even end up having a doula. And I think it's because God knew my nurse would be like a doula. Like, she was like trained in a bunch of like natural techniques, and she made me feel so comfortable, and she taught my husband how to do things, and we had taken classes, so we knew like natural techniques. But it's funny because when you're in the moment, you kind of forget about them, especially when you're in pain. Like, I did not remember. And so I labored for about 9 hours, and the whole time I was sitting at a 4. I did progress from 3 centimeters to 4 after my water broke, but from there, within those 9 hours, I was not progressing at all. And she kept coming back in to check me, and I was not progressing, and I was in so much pain, you guys, like, but I did not want to get an epidural. And I remember at one point I just felt like I was not going to progress, and I felt scared. Like I knew I never wanted Pitocin to speed up my labor, and my doctor kept saying, you know, we're gonna have to give you some Pitocin, like if you don't like progress. And so like I knew like I never wanted Pitocin, and then like luckily she never gave me Pitocin, but I was just afraid that I was gonna keep not progressing and that I was gonna actually end up having to have a C-section. And so I prayed and I was like, Lord, like if the nurse comes in again and tells me that I have not I have not dilated anymore, then I'm gonna think it's okay for me to get the epidural. So the anesthesiologist finally came in. He had me like lean over my husband like this, which I think like they always have you like kind of lean. And he was like, okay, you're gonna feel like a little bit of a sting. And I was like, I don't care about a little sting. Like, you know, the pain I'm in, like, I don't even care. It's not even gonna be a bad sting. And do you need to nurse? Pause. I'm gonna go nurse him. I'll be right back. So I'm back. I put Graham to sleep. Thanks for hanging in there with me, guys. I'm so thankful I got the epidural. Even though it wasn't what I wanted, it was the best thing for me because I was able to get some rest. After I got the epidural, I was finally able to progress. I think if I wouldn't have gotten the epidural, I wouldn't have been able to progress, and I probably would have ended up having a C-section just because of how my labor was going. So I'm so thankful that even though it wasn't what I wanted, I know it was what God wanted, and I look back at that and I don't feel guilty at all for the way things went. I'm really happy with the way it turned out, and I think one of the things that actually had kept me from doing it full-on natural was probably having my water broke. And I know, like, even if you have to have your water get broken, like, I know you can still do it naturally, but for me, I think my body was just like, whoa, you're not ready yet. We called my mom and we told her, hey, it's probably, I'm at 9 centimeters, like, I'm probably gonna be pushing soon. So one of my plans was to only have Brooke and James in the delivery room, and I was actually surprised that I ended up wanting my mom in there. Not because, you know, I didn't want her in there, just because for me, I just thought the less people, the better. And I'm really glad that I changed my mind with that, because my mom, my sister, and James were my biggest cheerleaders, and I think now the more people in the room that you can have telling you to keep going, the better. So I got to the pushing point, and little did I know pushing would actually be like almost as hard as the contractions and laboring itself. My epidural was what was called the perfect epidural. So basically what that is when you can still move your legs a little bit. You can still feel your legs, you just can't feel your contractions. But with that, I could feel everything down there. Like, I could actually feel like burning, like the ring of fire. Like, I could feel a tiny bit of, well, not a tiny bit, I could feel definite pressure when it was time for me to push, which was nice because I can't imagine having an epidural and not being able to know when it's time to push. I was able to tell the doctors, like, yep, I feel that pressure, it's time for me to push. And I did not realize that pushing is like you're taking a poo, like it's from your booty. Like, I thought that pushing would be like from your abs. Like, whenever I thought of pushing, like, I just thought it'd be like, oh, like a big like crunch workout, but like it is literally like you're taking a dump. Like, so I was so worried, you guys, that I was gonna poop. Like, that was like my biggest fear. Like, I kept saying like, no, I'm gonna poop. So I don't think, even during my practice pushing, I was not giving it my all. Like, I was just like lackluster, like, because I was so embarrassed that I was gonna poo. And so when the doctor got there, my doctor was so amazing. She, you know, is a medicinal doctor, but it was like almost having a midwife, because she brought essential oils, and she just kind of like did hot compresses in between pushes, and that like, oh my gosh, that felt so good. And it was like a lifesaver because I was crowning for like a half hour. And it was cool because my doctor also was doing like tug-of-war with me, and so that really helped. And she'd be like, I'm beating you, and like, you better push, you better just push, you know, come on, don't let me win, don't let me win. And that really helped me a lot to just like give it all that I had. After a while, when I was still crowning and I wasn't able to push him out, she started preparing stuff to give me an episiotomy, and I knew that that was something that I didn't want done. And so I was just like getting scared because I saw her preparing it, and she even gave me the shot for it. And my sister looked over at me, and she's like, I think she's on my left hand side, and she's like, Carly, they're gonna cut you, you've gotta push. And so like right after she said that, I just like gave it like my all, and like with the next contraction, like I pushed so hard, you guys, that my doctor was like, whoa, slow down. Look at me, you have to breathe, okay? Just stop for just a second. And I wonder why she said that, looking back on it now. I don't know if his cord was wrapping around his neck, but then I was able to like, you know, he was slowly able to come out, and like it was so beautiful because I wanted to grab him. Like that was one thing in my birth plan. I really wanted that, and skin to skin. And I was able to reach down, lift him out, and sorry, I'm getting emotional. I pick him up and just see him and meet him for the first time. It's so magical. Like, it is the best, like, first blind date you will ever have, because you don't know, you know, like, are they gonna have all their fingers? Are they gonna have all their toes? Are they gonna be healthy? Are they gonna look like me? Are they gonna look like their dad? I asked for delayed testing, so after my skin to skin, they took him and they weighed him at that point, and they did all the, you know, the eye stuff, the delayed testing. We cut the cord. James actually was able to cut the cord, which was really cool. And yeah, after I nursed him, they wheeled me into my postpartum room. I wish we would have stayed one more night. We only stayed one night. And again, I was so anxious to get home, but it's really, really crucial to take advantage of all that the hospital has to offer you. The help is so great, you guys, and it's really good to get that rest. You just like had like surgery almost, like you went through your body went through a major change, and so I would just suggest staying. So that's his birth story, and I am so glad you guys listened to this entire thing. I don't know if you're still watching or listening, but good luck to you in your birth story, and I hope that it's beautiful and wonderful. And if it doesn't go according to plan, just know that the most important thing is that your baby is alive and healthy, and your baby comes out, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters. So good luck to you in whatever plan you have. I really do wish you all the best. Thank you so much, guys. Bye.